Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. So we have some sales numbers from the US according to SHOCKS Automotive. And I think some people might be surprised about the BEV market in the US and how Tesla is doing, because we hear nothing else from the mainstream media about how Tesla is down. It's doom and gloom for Tesla. So are Tesla lagging behind everyone else now? And are hydrogen finally taken over? Well, not quite. Let me show you the real numbers, both in the US and in Europe, and let's dive right in. So the BEV market sales in the US are rising. 294,000 battery electric vehicles, so BEVs, were sold in Q1 in the US, up 10.6% year over year, according to SHOCKS Automotives. But we hear that Tesla's demand is falling off a cliff, so they must be lagging behind everyone else now, right? Yes. Oh no, look, Tesla is down 8.6% in Q1. So look at this chart that shows you Tesla's fall from grace. No, wait, what? I think Roland must have put in the wrong numbers here. Tesla is leading with a huge margin. No one else is even close. But if we listen to the mainstream media or the misinformed people, Tesla sales are collapsing and nobody wants to buy a Tesla anymore. Well, by the looks of it, about 5 to 6 times as many people want to buy a Tesla Model Y than a Ford Mach-E, which is the best-selling non-Tesla EV model, and they have not had a production shutdown of the Mach-E. But jokes aside, we can see that Tesla's two models are still dominating. Not just in the lead, but dominating, just as the Tesla brand is. Just look at my chart here of Tesla's versus the rest of the top 10 list of best-selling EV brands in the US. Yes, Tesla sales are down in Q1, but Tesla is still dominating the BEV market. They are actually still sitting on about 45% of the BEV market in the US. We can combine the rest of the top 10 list here in the US, and Tesla still beats them all combined. So if Tesla has a demand problem in the US, what do you call it for the rest then? The runner-up sold almost 6 times less EVs. So even when Tesla had a bad quarter and they had to shut down their factories for weeks producing the car that stands for 65% of their sales, they are still so far ahead of the so-called competition, it's not even funny. There is still no one on this list here we can even call competition. Tesla is just on a whole different level compared to the so-called competition. Yes, Tesla is down in Q1, we know that, but Tesla is only down 8.6%. Very impressive with the shutdown of their best-selling car production for weeks, if you ask me. So, as you can see here on this list, Tesla is down, but percentage-wise, they are actually not the worst one. Lexus is down also about 9%, Mini is down 16%, Kia is down 24%, Rivian is down 37%, and Mercedes is down 58%. Ouch! Mercedes really do have a serious problem with demand for their EVs. They only sell about 3,400 units in Q1 and are down 58%. And I don't know of any production stop for the Mercedes EVs. So it really seems like a legit demand problem for Mercedes EVs. So again, some great examples here on this chart. If you only look at one matrix like gain or loss in percentage, well, it looks like Jaguar is doing great. They are up 49%. Well, they sold 381 units in Q1, only about 336 times less than Tesla. But they're probably just about to catch up if you ask Mark Spiegel, that love the Tesla killer, the Jaguar I-Pace. But the truth is, the Jaguar EVs are completely irrelevant. And it would also look like Tesla's behind someone like Toyota that has almost 200% gain. They must be leading the way, right? Well, Toyota also comes from a very small base, so they only sold about 5,600 EVs in Q1 in the US. So the world's biggest automakers are about 23 times smaller in BEV sales in the US than Tesla. And this is the future of the car market we are looking at. No, Lars, Toyota has told us that hydrogen cars are the future. Well, okay then, let's look at Toyota's insane increase in hydrogen car sales. Well, in all of Q1 2025, 10 years after launching the Toyota Mirai, Toyota sold 33 units. No, not 33,000 units. No, just 33 units. But Lars, you just said you can't just look at one matrix. How much growth is that year over year? Well, that is down 80% year over year. Hyundai didn't even sell a single hydrogen car in Q1 in the US. They are down 100%. I mean, can it be more clear that hydrogen is a dead man walking? I don't think so. And someone like BMW want to get in on this insanely good market in 2028? So if BMW can get maybe like 80% of the market share and really dominate the US hydrogen car sales, they can sell like 26 units a quarter. Well, that would be optimistic, of course, as hydrogen sale has been dropping ever since they peaked in 2021 with an annual sales of 3,300 units. There has never been sold more than 3,300 hydrogen cars in a whole year. And that was 4 years ago and have only been dropping ever since. In Q2 last year, they sold 99 hydrogen cars in the US. So for BMW to think there will even be a hydrogen market left in 2028 is completely nonsense. The customers have spoken. BEVs are the future and are growing, and hydrogen cars and ICE cars are going extinct. But another thing to keep in mind when we are looking at the US BEV sales is, of course, that Tesla sales here on this chart are, of course, sales to customers, because Ford might have sold 22,000 EVs in Q1, but that is not to customers, but just to their dealerships. And as we saw last year, they added about 100,000 units to their inventory from March to October. So 22,000 EVs sold to dealerships doesn't tell us much. So Tesla sales are only down 8.6% in the US, and were not even down in China's sales in Q1. But that was also because Tesla prioritized their Chinese sales over Europe or other places, as we could see from their export numbers from China that was unusually small. Meaning that Europe was going to be the one that was going to see the biggest fall in sales, as they didn't really get any Model 3s to the continent as they were sold in China, and the only model that Tesla makes in Europe is the Model Y that was shut down for weeks. So the car that stands for 100% of the production in Europe was shut down, and not many cars was coming from China. So of course Tesla sales in Europe would be the one that is going to feel it the most. But that would also be the best way for Tesla to do it, as Tesla's European sale is the smallest market of the big three. So even though Tesla is down 37% in Europe in Q1, and it sounds really bad when you don't get that with any context, well, Tesla was only down about 20,000 units in Europe. So 20,000 units compared to a global annual sale of 1.8 million. That is only like 1% of their global annual sales they have lost in Europe. Tesla has lost 50,000 units in total in Q1 on a global scale, which is less than 3% of their annual global sales. Not something that can be regained over the next 3 quarters if their sales are going to go well with the new Model Y and Model 3, and their 2 new, more affordable models that is also coming over the next few months, and the unsupervised software coming to the US and supervised coming to Europe, which will no doubt increase the demand for Tesla's vehicles. So if we look at Europe, where everyone is screaming doom and gloom, well, yes, Tesla is down year-over-year. We're not trying to say it's not, but they are getting back on track. In March, both the Model 3 and Model Y were the 2 best-selling EV models of any kind in Europe. So there might be some that don't want to buy a Tesla now, but there are more people that want to buy a Tesla than anything else on the market. We can even see in March that Tesla is back at a much higher level compared to someone like Volkswagen, where Tesla has been quite a bit behind in both January and February, but in March they are only about 1,000 units short of the Volkswagen brand. So definitely getting back their momentum here in Europe. Even in all of Q1, with the shutdown of the Berlin factory, Tesla's Model Y still managed to be the best-selling model, and Tesla was still the second best-selling EV brand. So if Tesla has a demand problem, it looks like every other car brand has a demand problem. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.